Handy Hudsonite here. Have you ever wanted to measure the exact distance between two locations on a map? This is different than if you were measuring the distance it takes to drive somewhere or to walk or to cycle. If you put in those locations in Google Maps or Apple Maps, I'm going to show you how you can measure exact distances, even the area of objects, in Google Maps, both on the desktop version and in mobile, right after this. Mapping software is used by us almost every day for commuting, taking our kids to school, getting to various places around the city, and especially when we're headed to new locations for travel, or maybe we've picked something up online that we're going to get, whether it's on OfferUp or Craigslist. I'm going to show you a way, however, to measure distances between places on a map, or even map out the distance around objects, both on the desktop version of Google Maps and in mobile. So let's look at the desktop version first. And as you can see here, I have already done some measuring around an island called Vashon Island in the Seattle area. This is an amazing way to do research, or even to find out how far of a distance around objects there are when you're going to explore new places, or maybe just out of your own curiosity, you want to know how far these distances are. So as you can see, as I've mapped around Vashon Island, down here in this box, it says total area of 29 square miles. Total distance of 31.25 miles in perimeter around the island. Now, I didn't do this to exact specifications, but it gives me a good idea of the distance around the island and the area, the square mileage of the area, or the square mileage of the island itself. Now, what I did here, and I'm not going to show you how I did the entire thing, but to clear this, I'm just going to hit this X in this box, and you'll see that go away. So in order for us to measure the distance between places on the map, all you simply have to do is right-click on your trackpad or your mouse, and you'll see these options come up. I'm not going to get into all these different options in this video, except the one at the bottom called Measure Distance. Now you left-click on that, and you'll see the box at the bottom pop up that says, click on the map to trace a path you want to measure. And you'll see this black and white dot here is our starting point, because that's where we right-clicked on the map. Now, if you want to just measure the distance between 2 points, just left-click somewhere, it doesn't matter where, and immediately it'll show you the distance between those 2 points. Now, if you left-click and drag, you can move this around to any other location that you want. Maybe you want to see the distance between these 2 points, what the distance is between the island and the mainland here near Seattle. And you can see that that's 4.72 miles. It also shows it in kilometers if you're from an area that's more familiar with the metric system. Now, if I want to add in another point, all I have to do is left-click somewhere. Let's say you wanted to know the distance between the island over to the mainland and back over to this point in the island. Now, if I click here on my original point, it's going to complete the shape in this case, it's a triangle, and then it adds in the total area down there. You see it's 10.33 square miles. Now, anywhere along here at any of these hash marks, if I hover over it, it will create another circle. If I left click, I can then drag that to anywhere I want. So I can drag this out and form the shape of the area, whether you want a kind of a rough idea or not. It's still going to calculate that area and the distance around the perimeter. Now let's say we want to do this on more of a micro scale. Just click that X to get rid of it. And what you can do is you can right click here, measure distance, And then you can just start clicking, left clicking around the object, the area that you want to measure the distance. So I could go all the way around the island, like I showed you that I had at the beginning of the video, and I can measure all the way around Vashon Island to get the distance around. But I'm not going to go and do that again right now for the sake of time. That way you can get a more accurate measurement, and of course you could zoom in on the map in order to get this to be a little bit more accurate and take as much time as you need to get that accurate reading. So that is how you use the measurement tool here in desktop. I should say one more way that you can actually clear out the measurement is to hover over any of these points, right click, and left click on clear measurement. It'll go away. Now let's take a look at what it's going to look like on mobile, because you might be asking, well, that's great, but I hardly ever use Google Maps on my desktop. Let's look at what it's going to look like on your mobile device and how to use it. Okay, here we are in my iPhone. I do have it in landscape mode just for the ease of use for this video. And let's go into our Google Maps app here. And Google Maps does have a nice layout for landscape mode. Not all apps do use landscape mode and have that capability of having a different interface for it. But here we are. I'm just pinching and zooming. Let's go here. Let's just use the same example that I showed you on the desktop. Here's Vashon Island. Now what we want to do that's a little different than desktop is find the place that you want to have your first point of measurement, and instead of just tapping on the screen, press on the screen and hold, and then over here you'll see the menu come up, and you can see where it says measure distance. Tap that, and now we have our distance measuring tool, and you can just touch the screen and move around to find those different distances. Down here in the lower right, you'll see the add point. So I can add another point here. You kind of have to get used to this interface here on using this. To zoom out, of course, you just do two fingers and move your fingers together to zoom out. If you want to measure around, keep adding new points. It does take a little bit of getting used to this interface and the way that it works, but it's very easy to use. Okay, let's say we want to close our shape here. So I'll come up and we'll see what happens here. These three dots on the upper right are for clearing the measurement. You have your back arrow, which is nice. On the desktop, it didn't really have the undo feature that was as prominent, so you can undo what you just did as the last measurement. It doesn't seem that this is measuring the area like we did on the desktop when I go to close the shape. But of course, we can continue to add multiple points for measuring, so we can zoom out if we want to get a larger distance. Okay, so let's clear this. You hit the left arrow there, it will take you out of that interface. You can click measure distance again and start over. So let's say we take a different approach. Let's say we do a drop pin. So let's just do a quick tap on the map. This is another way that we can do the measure distance. go into our measuring distance mode. It would be nice if this was full screen in landscape mode, but I can continue to zoom out to do that. So each time I tap that add point, I bring in another marker. So just a great way to find distances between locations in an exact manner, both on desktop and mobile. Hopefully this has been helpful for you in learning how to use Google Maps more effectively. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, The Handy Hudsonite, for more tips, hacks, and reviews so that you can get the job done. Be sure to hit the notification bell so that you can get my content as it goes up, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.